Welcome back to the Mina Show featuring Lenny, the only NFL podcast. One of the hosts calls it pumpkin pie. That's Lenny. Ben, do you have any strong pie takes you'd like to get off before we preview Week 13?
No, just eat it. There's nothing worse than the amount of opinions you have to manufacture around Thanksgiving. Oh, rank your plate. Let's draft sides. What pie's best? Just eat the food, man. It's all delicious.
I am of the all pies are good persuasion, but I will say if it's fruit pie, it has to be homemade. That's my only take, because the store-bought fruit pie is almost always not good. Like a store-bought apple pie is like kind of weird and gelatinous. But if it's a homemade apple pie, I'll eat it. Pecan pie, always good. Pumpkin pie, best eaten the next morning cold.
I had a chocolate pecan pie this year, a little bit earlier in the Thanksgiving season. That John was good. That was stock up on chocolate pecan.
Some people don't like pecan pie because they're like, oh, it's just sugar and like sweet stuff and nuts. And I'm like, yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
That's why it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I did the Thanksgiving games with Dominique. You guys can go check that last episode out if you missed it and you want to hear me and Dominique preview the games that are on today. They're good games too. So maybe you're listening to this before, I don't know, Bengals Ravens. So go check that out. Today we're talking about Week 13. And there is a Friday game, which we will start with. I don't know, have they branded it like the Black Friday game or something?
The Eagles are wearing their all black alternates, all right? So they're very much leaning into the marketing.
Product placement.
Are we pro or anti Black Friday game?
Pro, I guess. I mean, I'm not going to the mall, so sure.
Thanksgiving Day games are very sacred to me. I love them so much that any other new holiday introduction games to me are like a clear step less than. With that said, when there's football on Friday, I'm going to be really happy about it.
Did you hear Joe Burrow? He was asked about Thanksgiving and he was like talking about how he grew up watching Matthew Stafford like throw for 400 yards and then still lose. And I thought, oh, he's talking about himself. I see you, Joe. So the Bears are playing the Eagles, or as my mother-in-law referred to it, minutes after walking into my door, the shame of the NFL.
Wow.
For those who don't,
for Nick Sirianni.
Those who don't know, my mother-in-law is from Philly. First thing she said, sorry, was where's my grandson? Second thing was, we're the shame of the NFL. The 8-3 Eagles, the shame of the NFL, coming off a very difficult loss to Dallas. I'm on the Eagles side of this, hilariously, because as always, I will discuss keys for the home teams when we talk about both teams. You're on the Bears, so I'm going to let you go. This is a really interesting game, and I spent a lot of time thinking about it, and I'm excited for it in a number of reasons, but you go first. What would you say is the Bears' key to making sure that the Eagles remain the shame of the NFL?
It's connecting on the deep shots in this one for sure, right? I mean, when you think about building that second half comeback for the Cowboys, so much of that is based off the idea that, all right, like we have the ability in George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb that have a great game, but we have two receivers who can really challenge these corners. And once you can complete a pass on the Eagles' corners, you're in a good spot in terms of yards after the catch, right? Andrew Makuba goes down in that game, so Sidney Brown will be starting opposite Reed Blankenship at safety. That is not the most speedy, talented, good tackling duo that you've ever seen at the safety position. There's a lot of room in the second and the third level against the Eagles defense to get some run after the catch, to turn some 15-yard, 20-yard plays into 30 and 35-yard plays. The issue with the Bears, as we've talked about now for a few weeks, is the fact that their completion percentage on these downfield passes, one of the worst in football. Caleb Williams continues to not yet have a completion more than 20 yards down the field outside of the pocket this year, despite the fact that nobody's attempting more out of the pocket 20-plus yard pass attempts than Caleb Williams is, right? You're going to be able to run the football in the Eagles. They're 10th in defensive success rate against the run. That's how Vic Fangio builds this out. So you're going to be able to get your inches and your slow, methodical movements. But the Bears' offense is mistake prone, and Vic Fangio's defense is well disciplined. They have a good pass rush. Like, you're not going to be able to increment your way all the way down the field. You have to be able to hit on some big ones. And for the Bears, they have been so close for so many weeks. If you want to author an upset here, you have to actually connect.
Yeah, with Caleb, it's last week against Pittsburgh. It was a very hard game to kind of capture because he was just so inconsistent. When it was bad, it looked bad, and obviously he had the bad strip sack. But then he hit on some beautiful throws in the second half of that game, as he has all season long. And I think you're right about the Eagles secondary. So of note, Sidney Brown is out. Adoree Jackson is not out, which means Cooper DeJean will play inside either.
That's Makuba who's out. Sidney Brown is in for Makuba.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Sidney Brown is in for Makuba. Um, that's I crazy to say this, but like I think it's really good news for Philadelphia that Adoree Jackson is hurt. Less so because of Adoree Jackson being Adoree Jackson, and more because it allows Cooper DeJean to play inside. I think that's really important against this particular team. My question for you, while we're on that side of the ball, is the Bears play a ton of two tight end sets, right? A lot of 12 personnel. How do you think Philadelphia matches that in this one?
Yeah, I went. These are the first numbers I looked at. Eagles' run defense against multiple tight end sets. They're about bang on average in terms of success rate, yards per carry, yards over expectation per carry. They have the ability to get into 5-man fronts, right? They might not necessarily be in base defense, but with Jahad Campbell and with Zach Bond, Campbell a little bit more at the back half of this year since Dean's come back, Bond certainly last year, they had the ability to walk the fifth guy down, and they ended up in like a 5-1 structure. People talk about penny fronts. That was a whole Brandon Staley thing. But what that does is when the offense adds that additional body to the surface of the run block, you get to add the additional body on the surface defensively up at the line of scrimmage. And because you have linebackers in Bond and Campbell who are capable of this, you're not actually giving up power at the point of attack. And so I think that you're going to see the Eagles largely try to play that in nickel, especially because DeJean will be the 7th player in the box, right? He's your additional fitter. He's a great run defender. Sidney Brown, what he does best is coming downhill, being physical, laying the wood, and you have those backers. So I think they're going to try to go nickel and go pound for pound. So again, to me, that becomes a situation where if Reed Blankenship is the deep safety, if I'm forcing you to put 5 on the line, there's going to be air between the numbers 8 to 16 yards down the field. And Caleb's gotten a lot better at those throws as the year has gone on. And the chemistry with Colston Loveland and Roma Dunze, like they've started to find something there. Luther Burden had a moment on one of those throws, 2 of those throws, I should say, in the game against the Steelers. So because that aspect of the Bears passing game was weak in September, it's much stronger now in November. That's where we're going to have to get him, is on those quick 5-step play action, land your back foot and just drive that sucker. That's where we're going to be able to get the Eagles.
Yeah, the Bears also, I mean, the Steelers obviously made it easier for them by playing pretty predictable coverages. I mean, right now, the Bears, like, attacked cover 3 in, like, there was, I think, was it Burden, or it was the DJ Moore touchdown where they just had like 3 guys on the right side and the seam.
Did you see Tomlin get asked about that?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
Tomlin got asked about that. I think it was Chris Carter who asked it. Forgive me if I have it wrong. But he was like, hey, you guys ended up in cover 3 against trips. They're in 4 verticals. It was wide open seam. This is like Nick Saban was talking about this in the 90s, right? This formation, this concept against this coverage. And Mike Tomlin goes, I'm not going to get into the schematic details of what we do, but I appreciate the depth of your question. Like, Mike, this is day 1 install. This is not like, Carter, hey, when they shift twice and whatever. He was like, I'm not going to get into it. Like, it's 4 verts against cover 3. Like, it's as old as Dan Marino in terms of like a scheme thing. You have to have an answer for this.
They also got the Steelers to put their linebackers on the field and attack the tight ends. It's all very predictable, but the Philadelphia is just much better against those things. Philadelphia will play more unpredictable coverages on the back end. Philadelphia will put DeJean on the field, so it won't be as easy to attack the backers in coverage. But I think you hit it, which is that quick hitting play action. That's how I would attack this Eagles defense, especially with the safety issue. I think, the Eagles pass rush last week didn't look as dominant as it had since the Jalen Phillips trade. I think a lot of that just had to do with playing Dak Prescott, who was just, he did the same thing to the Packers, right? Boop, boop, boop. Like, just throws the ball very quickly, reads defenses very quickly. I think there'll be opportunities to get after Caleb in the pass rush. Not that the Bears' offensive line they're not bad at all, but I just think we will see a little bit of a return to form. I think if the Bears use a lot of play action, they shouldn't be afraid of attacking it with the rush and playing that, not worrying too much about the run. So yeah, I feel like the Eagles defense actually matches up decently well with Chicago. I know they can do some of the things that would hypothetically give Philadelphia trouble, but consistently, I think, is a good question. And I don't know. The more I thought about it, the more I think this Eagles defense is going to look more like they did the prior 2 weeks than they did last week against Dallas.
Yeah, my big hesitation, like, I think, okay, if it's Ozzie Trapillo making his second start at left tackle, like, I think that there were a lot of gettable spots for Trapillo. Even if Benedict is back in at left tackle, there's some gettable spots. That line, left guard to right tackle, is good. And my biggest hesitation is we just haven't seen the Eagles play too many scramblers this year, right? When they have, like, Jackson Dart has been successful with his legs in both of those games. They had Mahomes early in the season, but he's not really moving as much. When they had that, like, Carson Wentz into Jordan Love into Jared Goff sort of like stretch there over the last month or so, you're just not getting guys who really, really put you in danger in terms of their ability outside of the pocket. And obviously that's where Caleb's been at his strongest this year. So the second reaction play is going to be big, again, with those injuries in the secondary. But like, I don't know, if the Eagles get 21, 23 points in this one, I think that the defense has enough to make the stop. The thing is, like, the Bears defense against the Eagles is the issue, where it's like the Chicago's got to be perfect on this side of the ball in order to hang.
All right, so yeah, I'm on Philadelphia, and my key in this one, and I think it was Robert Mays. I joked about it, the Bears' run defense being like the stoppable object meeting the movable force. It feels like with the Philadelphia run game struggling as much as it has. After watching the Bears' run defense against Pittsburgh, I really believe Philadelphia can run them. I really do, especially given the injuries they have in linebacker, which Arthur Smith just attacked relentlessly the last game. And there's no reason why they can't just put Jalen Hurts under center, put another offensive lineman. Who's their sixth offensive lineman again? It's Matt Pryor. Put him on the field. Steelers have Alec Anderson. They actually put him in the backfield a few times. I don't know if you noticed that, which I thought was quite funny. But the Bears linebacker play, they were just really, really struggling there. And then there were just wide, super soft edges to attack. They were taking terrible angles. I know that the Philadelphia run game has not been good. I understand that. But I think if they really commit to running under center, and it can be that the Steelers ran some duos, a lot of zone, I really think the run game can get back on track in this one.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of the times our frustration with the Eagles' offensive approach in terms of running the football has been, hey, like, enough of the eye candy, enough of the gun stuff, enough of the package plays, get under center and commit. You have that advantage, I think, in this game for sure. Just get downhill and these guys, like, make these linebackers fit and play with strength. But also because you have that second level that's really inexperienced, you saw this in the Arthur Smith approach, the eye candy is kind of cool in this one, right? Because you can get some of these players in the wrong spots, moving the wrong direction, and then all of a sudden the jet give to Jahan Dotson or the slide route, right? That RPO slide we talk about a lot to Dallas Goedert, that becomes not like a 5-yard gain, not an extension of the running game, but actually like a 10, a 15, and a 20-yard gain. You can generate an explosive. The thing is, like, this Bears defense, just every advanced metric hates them. They are bottom 10 in success rate. They are bottom 10 in EPA per drive. They are extremely turnover reliant. They are top 2 in takeaways per drive. Their takeaways are also happening at critical parts of the field. They're getting takeaways on the outside of field goal range. They're getting takeaways in the red zone, like plays that like truly legitimately take points off the board. They're getting takeaways inside the 20, generating very short fields. You're facing an Eagles team that just like fundamentally does not turn the football over. The number one objective for the quarterback stamped in red across his forehead is don't turn the ball over.
Don't fumble it.
Yeah, and the only way the Eagles actually really let that Cowboys game get away from them is by putting the ball on the ground multiple times, right? Once in special teams and then once on offense. And so it's just this is the sort of game that's very much a mouthwash game for the Eagles offense, because so long as you protect the football, which again is the North Star of this team, you can move it on the Bears in a lot of different ways.
I like Hurts as a scrambler in this one. I mean, given what your point about the linebackers and the misdirection, I wouldn't be surprised if they do run a bit of zone raid with him, if they do run the ball from the gun. But I also have seen this Bears defense give up some really big games to guys on the ground. Jackson Dart ran all over. This is the thing. Jackson Dart's a good scrambler. Tyler Huntley in the Ravens got to have it game, broke off some big runs against them. They're giving up 6.3 yards per carry on quarterback runs, which is the third worst in the NFL. And that was before they lost their linebackers, or all of them. So, yeah, I think all of there's a lot of buttons that the offense can press in this one without having to completely change their identity or improve in areas where that they struggled. I feel like there's many more matchup advantages on that side of the ball than the other end, whereas it's required of Caleb to have like a really great Caleb game. I don't think the same thing would be required of Jalen Hurts here. So I'm taking Philadelphia.
I'm on the Eagles too. Like I said, this is a mouthwash game. The Bears are also due. I think the Bears are a good team. I think the coach is good. I think the quarterback is good. I believe in everything that's happening. I also don't think they're a real 8-3 team yet. Like, they're just not at that level in terms of personnel, in terms of execution. This feels like one where the house of cards comes down a little bit. So I like the Eagles big.
What's their point differential?
The Bears -3 right now, I want to say.
Okay. Well, it's improved a little bit.
It is still negative, which is insane for an 8-3
team. Yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm there's entirely a chance they run into like a Caleb like plays out of his mind because we have seen flashes, quarters, some full games of that. I think he's been good this year despite some inconsistency, but this is a very good Eagles defense. So, okay, quicker on Saints Dolphins. That's your game, Ben.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah. Key for this one, Saints are the traveling team here, so you have another Tyler Shuck road start. You actually have a Dolphins run defense that has been dramatically improving over the last like month of the season. Again, we're talking about getting out of the cellar and more towards like league average, at times league above average levels. But still, the question here is how do we find the easy buttons? That's the key for the Saints. You have moved on from Rashid Shaheed. You have traded him away. Alvin Kamara goes down in the game against the Falcons. Availability for this game is in doubt. Their solution to that was to blind Taysom Hill up at running back and to hand him the football, like in the eye, like as a running back, like as an actual, like when he's like 35. You can't.
Like, what are you learning? Like, why are you doing this? Like,
Devin
you got to figure out what you have in your quarter.
Do something, right? Brandon Cooks is a team captain. He's released 2 weeks ago. Blake Grupe, he was another team captain. He couldn't hit a kick for the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, so they've released him. You are at this point, outside of Chris Olave, with Kamara on the bench potentially, are just completely identityless, and that is a really hard way to raise up a rookie quarterback. Now, the Dolphins secondary is extremely gettable, right? The linebacker, Jordan Brooks is playing great football, but the second level has its own issues. If you have the ability to, okay, let's do the multiple tight end sets. Let's make this a Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau game. Let's get under center and get Devin Neal kind of grinding it out. Good, go for it. If it is a throw the ball quick to Chris Olave, let's get him in isolation. Let's pepper him with 14 targets. Cool, excellent. But you have to arrive at some form of offensive stability and identity here because you've bled offensive talent over the course of the trade deadline and now with injuries. And this offense has to change every single week for Tyler Shuck. You can tell it's hard for him to generate chemistry with guys and comfort in the pocket. The best reps he has to me are the Juwan Johnson reps. I would want to be a 12, 13 personnel team. Yeah. I want to be using Taysom Hill as a tight end. I want to be getting the Dolphins into heavy personnel. I will take my Chris Olave one-on-one shots when you give them to me. Otherwise, a lot of movement series, right? They're using Shuck in the design running game, and then I'm throwing to Juwan Johnson on the move. You do that, you can put points on Miami. You can keep this thing close. But we got to find a more consistent form of offense that relieves the ask on our rookie quarterback right now.
The Kimes curse of the Saints continues.
Is that right?
Week. Well, so I remember, I think I was with you when I was like, Spencer Rattler's actually playing pretty good ball. And then he threw up a couple horrible stinkers.
Yep.
Last week, I was like, Tyler Shuck, not so bad.
Welcome to life with young quarterbacks. All right. Nothing is real ever.
I will say, I think there's been enough from Tyler Shuck over the last few games where you want to see what you've got in him. I don't know if it's prohibitive from the Saints drafting quarterback. We'll see how things shake out, and the class I have not evaluated, so I don't have strong feelings there. But like, he's not been terrible, and I actually think he was getting better. I do like the way he looks throwing on the move. You mentioned that they put the athleticism is real. I've noticed too, the big rap on him was like, he really doesn't want to take sacks. And I actually think there's been some pocket toughness at times that has impressed me. The arm talent is there, but he's very young, and like, it's a horrible offense. You talked about it. Like, how do you even describe what they're doing week to week? So I'm on Miami here. You mentioned the improvement on the Miami defense, which is something that I think deserves more love. I mean, the Miami, right? They've become better run defense and a great running team.
Yeah.
Funny.
Mike McDaniel's ability to squeeze the 13th best offense out of the 25th best offensive personnel remains extremely impressive. Again, I think we're kind of done on the whole, and we can make a full head coach out of this. But that alone, that pinhole view, he's marvelous. It's very impressive.
Okay, so I'm going to transition from that. Are you on Dolphins as well?
Yes, I think the Dolphins win it.
Okay, so I'm going to transition from that to Falcons Jets, because the other side of the Saints loss was a hilarious Kirk Cousins win that I did not watch in real time. I was tracking it because in one of my leagues, I desperation started Darnell Mooney. Looked down at my phone. I'm like, what is happening? What okay. Kirk Cousins in this game, 40% play action rate, under center, 6 for 8 for 114 yards, all 4 chunk plays.
It's so annoying. It's infuriating.
It's so funny that they're like, he can run under center play action again.
How
they employed him in 2024. They wouldn't put him under center. They wouldn't do play action. We thought it was because of his Achilles. He gets benched for Michael Penix. They still won't do it. It's pistol. So we think now it's the design of the offense. Then they walk out in the first Kirk Cousins against 2025, and they're back to what they should have been doing in 24. It's also, amazing to me.
His arm looked like unbelievable on some of those throws. Like I'm joking. The ball to Mooney, which was a post versus quarters. He would launch in that thing. Like it would like also a reminder that Achilles injury, like it takes a second, right, to come back from. So my interest here, if Kirk Cousins finishes the season with some ability and continues to push to launch it, makes the offseason kind of interesting. It adds a level. I'm not overreacting to one, so I really am not going to. But it's a situation I'm monitoring because it was honestly very shocking to me to go back and watch it and figure out what the hell was going on.
In the column this week, I was like, I can't stress this enough. This is the most important narrative to me for the rest of the season. Is the Falcons offense and Kirk Cousins. Like, I care about this more than I care about MVP race, Shedeur Sanders. Like, this is the only thing I want to see for the rest of the season is what is there. Like, they were 13 personnel. Mina, on 35 snaps. They had been 13 personnel in 3 snaps all season previous, right? We have been begging Zach Robinson for changing offensive identity and for adjustments and for, just turning different dials and different switches and seeing what works for the offense. And they have been so one way or the highway, this is our identity. And then finally it took a week 12 game against the Saints with Kirk Cousins in there with no Drake London for them to just totally change their stripes. And that's what's interesting is like, I think they very much got the drop on the Saints defense. They get a Jets defense this week that like is going to walk up and is going to press your receivers. Drake London is doubtful for this game. I don't think they're going to be able to be as successful, like suddenly yanking the 13 personnel stuff out there and getting you to play left-handed. I think the Jets are going to be a lot better prepared for this. Kirk, I agree. Like the ball was clearly coming out better and faster than it was last season. He's still very much as a quarterback, and this was true before the Achilles. Like if you get trash at his feet, if you move a little bit off his spot, like once you adjust the platform, the accuracy tails off. Now there's velocity drop too. So like I very much feel like my heart is telling me, no, my head is telling me it's a one-off, it's a flash in the pan. My heart is telling me, but what if it isn't?
So I will say on the under center dropbacks, some of them did look a little weird.
He's a very old man.
But he's always moved a little weird.
Yeah.
The Jets, I think I grabbed this. They're like 28th in EPA per play against play action. I think that they will take a similar approach. But after that, you've got the Seahawks, the Bucks, the Cardinals, the Rams. That's a quite a gauntlet of defenses. So this could come crashing down to earth. But I am, and then the Saints again. But I'm interested. That's all I'm saying is I'm interested. I will be monitoring the Kirk Cousins situation. I am also picking Atlanta in this game because of it.
I like the Jets in this game. I think that I am always in fade Falcons against good run offense state of mind. And I will be until proven otherwise. Like I was there with Carolina when they played them, we were with the Colts. And this Jets team, obviously there's no Justin Fields, but like Fields was not having an outsized impact on the rushing attack. With Tyrod Taylor, I think you're a little bit more effective in the passing game. And this line is still very healthy. Breece Hall is playing tremendous football. I like the Jets, honestly. At home, they're a small underdog, but I feel like Zach Robinson got the drop on the Saints. Now it's on film. I'm not sure you see the same effect this week.
I think the Falcons defense blitzes the absolute hell out of that.
At 3rd and 8, we're calling, inside zone. We ain't dropping back. All right, we're running the ball.
Okay, we're split there. Let's do Texans Colts. Big game. AFC South is very much up for grabs all of a sudden. Coming off of the Texans upset of Buffalo, a reminder to the world of how unbelievable that defense is. The Colts are reeling, feels a little strong, but coming back to earth a little bit. I'm on Indianapolis here, or I'm talking about Indianapolis rather. I'd like to go first. They got to stay the hell out of 3rd down. That's all. So yes. Over the last 4 weeks, the Colts offense is 28th in conversion rate on 3rd and long. They're 24th in 3rd and anything. Daniel Jones, drop back Danny, has come back to earth.
Wow, drop back Danny is crazy work.
Well, it's when I'm talking about 3rd down, when it's that's specifically drop.
No, I love it. It's a great name.
Yeah, the Chiefs, were able to like get after him with a lot of their pressures, and he really and there were even moments where he was clean, and you could see him like panicking a little bit, and Shane Steichen just completely lost faith in him as a drop back passer. So
I strongly agree. And like I said that on SportsCenter,
Yeah.
and a bunch of Colts fans got mad at me because they still had a high pass rate and they didn't run Jonathan Taylor a lot. But if you watch the way the plays are being called and what the throws are being asked of, they were in max protection 34% of the time. Like it was kid glove passing game.
They actually had some decent answers against the blitz. The problem was the Chiefs were just tackling everybody short of the sticks, right? So
Yeah.
he was like, the Chiefs split 7 times in the second half, and Jones completed 4 of those passes. The problem was they were just tackled well. The Chiefs are a good tackling team. Unfortunately for them, the Texans are also a good tackling team. And I do think on third down, D'Amico will send pressure. Okay, so going back to my point, though, so you got to win on first down. Do you know what the Texans defense's EPA per play is on first down? This blew my mind. The average is 0.05.
Okay.
So the average NFL team defense allows 0.05 EPA per play on first down when everything's on the table. Run, pass,
negative 0.05. So like what? Like negative 0.4?
Negative 0.18.
Yeah.
1.8. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
They're only allowing an average of 4.2 yards per play. You got to get Jonathan Taylor going to survive here. I feel like you just got, or it's got to be, RPOs, easy buttons. I get Tyler Warren the ball in space. You got to get at least 5 yards in every first down.
Yeah. I went and I looked at how Shane Steichen's running game has done against D'Amico Ryans over their shared history in the division, because the thing about the Texans is that it's always a 4-down front. You know what the front is going to be. And so if you are a good run game designer and you have additional weapons besides the back, right? You have the ability to like RPO, get the quarterback involved in the running game, move guys through play with motion, be able to hand the ball off to receivers. Then you can take advantage of a lot of the tendencies, right? You can run trap and you can run power and you can get some of the double teams that move guys off the line of scrimmage. Typically, Steichen's been pretty good running the football against the Texans, right? He has an above average rushing success rate in his 3 games against the Texans relative to his season successes. And so this is like when you are spiraling like this offensively, you kind of go back to the first page of the playbook and written in the big bold and top letters, like what we want to be identity wise, like what should I as a play caller be prioritizing? And with the Colts, like before the Daniel Jones moment happened, the first half of the season, oh my God, he's a fixed player. It was just always Jonathan Taylor. It was always JT28, right? And so you have to be willing to run him into brick walls, run him into 3 and outs, run him into 1-yard gains on first down, and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Because the thing is, like, eventually he pops one, right? And he was that Chiefs game, like it was a lot of like, on the third down, Dan Jones didn't do this and that and everything. He nearly popped one, right? He got to the third level. Brian Cook made a hero tackle up against the sideline, not getting his ankles broken. And then they end up ending that drive with 3 instead of 7, and that becomes the difference. So you're going to be able to get him to the third level, and then it becomes a Jonathan Taylor outrun Kalen Bullock for us, Jonathan Taylor break Kamari Lassiter for us, which already is a challenge because like the Texans DBs tackle so well. But this is one where like to the Colts fans who are frustrated with that second half play calling, you cannot leave the running game at any point in this one, because Jones right now, like, have you looked at the pressure to sack numbers for Jones week to week?
Regression is real, y'all.
And like it is real. It is thunderous. It is painful. Weeks 1 through 8, he had a pressure to sack ratio below 8%. It would not have just been the best number this year. It would have been the best number of multiple seasons past. Now it is like over the last 4 weeks, it's like 32%. And that's with taking no sacks against the Chiefs because he kept getting rid of the football as fast as he could. Like, you can't expose him to this rush.
Spags zeroing him as many times as he did in the second half was such an "I know who you are" moment.
I do not fear you.
I was just
I
like,
do
oh
not fear
God,
you.
watching that. Yeah. Okay. So, Texans. Did you have an offensive thought or?
Yeah. My last on the other side of the ball is also like outside of that Chiefs game, the Colts offense was struggling with like the Steelers and the Falcons and like the speed of those edge rushers. The particular style here for the Texans is really important. You can get around Bernard Raymond and Brandon Smith pretty fast. Texans offense here, right? We have to the other guys are leaning into Jonathan Taylor, but we're leaning into Woody Marks, all right? And we understand that that's not as nice and as exciting, But what the Texans offense has done over the last couple of weeks, as they've gone through the Davis Mills experiment, is they've become really reliant on jumbo personnel, right? They were in 6 offensive line on 37% of their snaps against the Buffalo Bills. That was 14% the week previous, 20% the week before that. That's all the Davis Mills era. They were in multiple tight end sets against the Bills 23% of the time, easily the most that they've been in any game this season. Now, obviously, you're doing that because the Bills are going to match you a nickel and you're going to be able to outsize them, so on and so forth. But the Colts right now, run defense wise, are bottom 8 defense success rate against the run.
The loss of Buckner is massive in that.
Yeah, and you go and you look exactly without Buckner in there, the numbers really tail off as well. They're trying to play more man coverage with Sauce Gardner and Travarius Ward back there, which allows them to be a little bit more heavy in the box, right? It makes it a little bit easier to play with stacked boxes. That's what they want to do on defense. But okay, if you want to stack boxes, buddy, I'll put 9 bodies in here, right? We will go 22 jump or 21 personnel jumbo, and we will make a safety come down, and we will make a corner get involved in the fit. And then they've gotten some nice play out of Marcus, the rookie out of USC, who's stepped in to become the lion's share back after a timeshare with Nick Chubb to start the season against the Bills, right? He had 40 rushing yards over expectation, just slowly chopping away in that game, turning 5-yard runs into 8-yard runs into 14. And so, to me, I expect CJ Stroud back, but I still want to be a run personnel team, and particularly I want to do it in a heavy fashion so I can get more and more bodies in the box. If I get my Nico Collins versus Charvarius Ward moment, Ward's very good, Sauce is very good, but that's what the money's for. Nico's a great player, and if this comes down to a Nico Collins 50-50 ball for the Texans, they did their job. Like that's a coin that they should be willing to flip.
Yeah, you and I have talked a little bit about watching the Texans offense and the run game. I am leaning towards that was the Bills, and I'm not totally persuaded, but I do think that the run defense for Indianapolis has become a weakness for, without DeForest Buckner. The DeForest Buckner injury, I feel like probably didn't get enough attention.
It was weird because
how important a player he is.
Yeah, it happened when they were it got announced he was going on IR on a Tuesday because they were heading to Berlin that week, and so it got kind of not caught up in the regular injury news. But yeah, out for 4 weeks, been a big deal.
The Texans offense makes it hard for me to pick every Texans game, I've realized, because they have the complete just ability to take over every game. That said, I'm going to go Indianapolis here because I believe Jonathan Taylor has a potential to get back on track. And you and I talked about how this should be a Jonathan Taylor centric game. And I'm just still not a believer in the Texans' ability to protect CJ Stroud and run the football, as much as I think there's some vulnerability there for Indianapolis. But this is a close one. Let me see it's got to be close it's in Indy, and Indy's favored by 4.5. So that's close. It's quite close.
Yeah. I very much lean Colts win, Texans cover. I think this is a game that gets is going to be a close one in the fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I've seen some hey, Davis Mills is 3-0. Absolutely not.
No, we're not doing that here. Nope.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Very good. Agreed.
Good backup though. Really good backup.
Great backup. Great neck.
You saw too, as the game goes on, he gets more comfortable because he's, of course he's rusty. You don't play for a year, he's got a good arm. All right. Let's do a couple quick hitters before the break. You have Niners, Browns.
Yeah.
Are your thoughts here Shador centric, or do you want to talk about Brock Purdy? Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, the key to
I would fool Mac Jones should start on Tuesday. I haven't checked the response. I don't know if Niners fans have gotten mad at me.
So Lisa Salter spoke to Brock pre-game before the Panthers game, and we asked him you've been working your way back, and what have you learned from Mac and whatever, and Brock was extremely clipped in his answers. And in my opinion, Brock knows he's less than 100% and is getting back because he knows that Mac's playing really good football. Brock generally struggles to drive the football. He certainly cannot right now. I think that's that's a big part of not being able to push off that toe the way that he would like to. He's going to be playing in Cleveland in what is expected to be, consistent winds about 10, 15 miles per hour, potentially gusts a lot higher. There's also a chance of precipitation. And we're going against Myles Garrett, who has, since we started this podcast, another 2.5 sacks, right? This line opened at 6. It is now 4. I am very much Sanders wins his second career start.
I just opened it. It's 5.
I've seen. I know we've gotten to 4 at certain books this week. I don't look at the most.
Hey, y'all! Yeah. That Niners defense. Yes, they're playing well, but that was a lot of that was about Carolina. We talked about it earlier this week. That to me feels like an overreaction. Oh, Robert Saleh's got these guys playing. They're definitely playing really well given all the injuries. But
this game 100% is a protect the football, avoid the turnover game, right? If you are Kevin Stefanski, Tommy Rees talking to Shedeur Sanders, you're listen,
you did a great job minimizing sacks. You threw the one pick, but if we can avoid negatives, we're going to run our screens to Harold Fan and our reverses to Isaiah Bond. We're going to run Quinshon Judkins. This is going to be a field position game. It's going to be a special teams game. The defense is going to let them score 10 to 13 points. Like the Browns defense is this Niners offensive line is not is like a league average, below average unit. The Browns defense is much better against the run than the Panthers is. Like, this is going to be grimy, ugly, and close. I do not trust Brock to throw his way into a lead in this game. It's going to be a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and then it's like, hey, we need to pop one big play and we can win this thing. I'm very much like, I legitimately think the Browns win this game. It's because I cannot trust Brock right now.
I picked the Browns last week, and I am tempted to do it again here. I think that they will be able to attack the Niners linebackers in a way that, for some reason, the Panthers didn't, which is very frustrating and weird to watch, to be honest. You and I texted.
We texted after that game. Just like, one of the honest
plan at all. Yeah.
I wasn't there. I didn't get it.
I love Fannin Jr., by the way. You talked about him. I just love watching him play.
I saw a stat. I cannot recall who tweeted it. I apologize. But I saw a stat that said, somebody said there's been 2 games this season in which a tight end has broken at least 5 tackles. Fannin has both of them. 3rd round rookie out of Bowling Green, 2nd tight end on his team.
So what a ball player.
Not a high volume player. That is such a testament to the unique athlete that he is.
I have him. Not to be, I'm compare myself to Harry Roseman over here, but in my dynasty league with Tyson Danny, I took Dart and Fannin, and I am it's a crazy deep league if it's not obvious, and I because you're playing both, but I am feasting. Okay. I think I'm going to take
87% chance of rain, according to the most recent forecast.
Yeah, I'm going to take Cleveland. Come on, Brock and a ring. The best unit in this game is the same as is the Browns defense.
Myles Garrett setting the new single season sack record in front of the home crowd while Sanders wins his 2nd start beating an NFC contender in the San Francisco 49ers. It's good for the content, Mina.
Sanders, real quick, because I saw you did write about him.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts were pretty much aligned with, because I did talk about it because we did the Thanksgiving games. Brought some actual playmaking that's been missing in this offense. The throw to Bond was beautiful. The down-to-down consistency, it has to improve. Mm-hmm. The one thing I liked was he didn't take like a bunch of super sacks. That was one thing I was a little bit worried about. It was more like you could definitely feel him wanting to get the ball out quickly, but some of the accuracy was up and down. But I think in terms of like a development and progression, he is an accurate quarterback, and I think we will see some improvement in that regard. He's just got to avoid negative plays. The interception, very rookie moment. So just, a few of those explosive plays and then otherwise being efficient will go a long way. Will be enough, I feel like, not just in this game, but in some of the other ones looking at their schedule.
Yeah, if you bring the same down success rate as Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco, which is about where he was against the Raiders, but you also create one explosive per game, then like that can be enough for this Browns defense, right? It's a high wire act. You either hit the 55-yard throw or you don't, right? And that's like a very hard throw to hit. You'd like to have more consistency, but for a 5th round rookie, it was about the typical sort of first year start that you expect, right? They end up with the win because the defense is so good. There was nice stuff to build on, rolling to his right, avoiding sacks, identifying blitz stuff at the line of scrimmage. And then there's a lot of stuff that needs to be better, right? And he is like a very physically deficient quarterback. He does not have premier arm talent. He is not loose. He is not strong. He is not fast. Like, he is a below average NFL athlete. So you got to be really perfect at a lot of stuff. And that's an unrealistic expectation for any rookie in their first career start, second career start, moving forward.
It is funny because I realize, I don't know if you and I talked about this, but he has a lot of Purdy-like traits in this game. He's got it like Brock, and what he was is like, I always viewed as being like, this is what you could be if you can play with anticipation when Brock was, when he plays well. I think there's an opportunity here. The Niners defense is gettable, and I'd love to see him just, let's see that completion percentage tick up. Obviously the numbers were spun in all kinds of directions because you have the big catch and run, but then you also have Jerry Jeudy dropping a very
The Jeudy
hilarious
fumble, dude. You could see that thing happening in slow motion. You just
So
see
it's like-
Jeremy Chin just cruising in like a shark from the sideline, man.
It was so on one hand, it's like, you know, it was inflated, but then it was also deflated. So
Right.
it
It was a perfect game for narratives. You could construct
right.
the most pro and the most anti-Sanders arguments you want from the numbers. Ideal.
So what I want to see if I'm a Browns fan is just that time to throw, staying, you know, not getting too high. I don't want to see super sacks and, you know, just efficiency and accuracy. All right. Let's wrap with Titans, Jags at Titans. I want to talk about Cam Ward because I haven't talked about him a ton as of late, and his performance against Seattle, I posted this during the game, was better than many veteran quarterbacks against the Seahawks defense, which is very good. They were missing their linebackers, but they're still very good. I thought it was certainly the most impressive, to me, it was the most impressive performance by, you know, rookie quarterback this season. Dart against Philadelphia was, given the stage and how unexpected it was also impressive. But given, you know, like this defense, also given the throw, I think all of us zeroed in on the same. It was like a third down throw against the blitz to James Prochet. I think.
Yep.
James Prochet, who we used to do the second. We used to do memes about when he was on the Ravens. We're like, look, Lamar's throwing to this guy. I mean, he was throwing to dudes I did not know were on the. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's when he hit Prochet on the throw that I was like, oh, he is the next Lamar, right? It is ordained. Prochet is the one who declares he's the herald of the next revolutionary rookie quarterback.
Reading the coverage rotation, understanding the leverage, placing the ball perfectly to avoid the. I mean, it was just beautiful. He also made a number of really impressive throws outside of structure. I just, to me, like, you know, he's got the goods, and like the Titans are a dismal team. They like just completely absent, like really need to, especially in offense. The offense is just gross, like in terms of, you know, what he's dealing with. But if I'm a head coach and I'm watching, you're trying to get, you know, whoever the hot coach is to come play them this game, because I thought he was really special in it. And, you know, I mean, I still think the Jags win because of the aforementioned talent deficiency. But I just wanted to take a moment to highlight how good he was because, it was great.
I think he beats the Jags. I think the Titans win this game.
Oh, okay.
This offense has been getting better week over week since the firing of Callahan. They have played the two toughest defenses, or two of the three, in Houston and in Seattle, right? I know Broncos fans are furious with this podcast and this duo, you and I particularly, for our rankings of their defense at times, so forgive me. But two of the three best defenses in football, and Ward has looked better and more comfortable in every single one. Gunnar Helm is playing better football. Chimere DK is playing better football for them. They might get Eli Ayamanor back for this game. The Jags were taken to overtime by the Raiders and the Cardinals, dude. Like the Titans are winning. I am so like I was trying so hard not to fall down the Cam Ward cliff and be like, he's the GOAT. Like, he's just, look at these 5 best throws. Don't worry about it. Then this is the best game I've seen a quarterback play against the Seahawks this year. It's better than the Stafford's game. It's better than Baker's game.
No, it's not better than Baker's game. Stop.
That's
ridiculous. No, stop.
Adjusting
too far.
Adjusting for receivers available? Okay. Are you kidding me?
All right.
He's doing one on a strip though.
Yeah. But Baker lit them up.
Oh, it was
I know
so
the receivers
good.
matter. The receivers matter, but like, come on, Baker went nuclear on the Seahawks. Like, let's.
They could have been a good game. That was week 2. All right, week 2 doesn't exist anymore. We're at week 12, and it's all about Ward.
He was awesome. Also, the Seahawks were missing their entire secondary in that game, so that matters too. But we're in agreement. It was extremely impressive. It was an awesome game. If I'm a Titans fan up there.
And also, on the other side of the ball with Titans, like with Simmons and Sweat back and playing together now, like that run defense is better. I'm telling you, Titans over Jags. I'm there.
I will say, I mean, the Jags game against Arizona was so weird.
This is the game that broke the Trevor Lawrence believers, man. There's just nothing to do with this.
Brenton Strange, though, my baby, he's back.
Good player.
I'm gonna take Jacksonville here, but yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. Come back before Ben gets super hyperbolic about Cam Ward, and let's talk about the aforementioned Seahawks. All right, we're back. Actually, before we do that, we'll go Rams Panthers. I sent you this list of games before Monday night, and I was like, Rams Panthers, big game. And then after Monday Night Football, I wrote back, I don't want to talk about the Panthers. Just do the Rams. I don't want to talk about them.
Yeah, the Panthers, like I hold a candle for them winning this game. It's a home game. Bryce Young's much better at home over the course of his career. Bryce Young just had a bad game, which means he's about to have a good game, and that's about how that'll go. Yeah,
well,
right.
the Panthers defense is missing J.C. Horn, I believe. I mean, he was concussed,
Yes.
and then Trevon Merrick was suspended for whatever the hell happened. It's like, against this
and that's
offense,
the thing is, this Panthers defense, when they had Christian Roseboom and Trevin Wallace both available, was the worst defense in the league against opposing tight ends, giving up over 2 yards per route run into tight ends in the passing game. And also, again, that was with Merrick, who you saw Merrick was on a kill for a decent portion of this night. Now, no Merrick. We don't know the status of the linebackers, but it doesn't sound good for getting both of them back healthy. And you have, right, again, like no J.C. Horn. The only way you win this game is with pass rush if you're Carolina. So if you're the Rams, this is a go heavy personnel, go play action. And the main thing for the Rams here is win this game in the first half, right? Like McVay's done a much better job this year. I think about that Jags London game, think about the game that they played against the Titans, like actually shutting the door on teams. In years past, I would tell you this is the exact sort of game the Rams lose, right? Where they're traveling to the East Coast. It's a 1 p.m. start. They're going to be up 23-11 in the first half. They're going to start running the football on all 3 downs, every single drive. Also, it's going to be a 1-score game. Like, no, let's forgive me, but let's step on a throat here, right? Let's be the best team in football if that's what we are. The Panthers are going to be able to run it a little bit, right? You have Ted McMillan against Emmanuel Forbes as the sort of receiver with which he tends to struggle, the strength and the size. And so there's options for the Panthers on offense. Just put 28 on the board in the first half and end this game in the first half.
Yeah, I completely believe that Bryce Young could rebound in this one because I don't know. I'm out. I mean, I'm out on giving takes. I just don't know.
Professionally speaking, there are 31 teams in the NFL.
I was really impressed by the Panthers defense on Monday. I talked about that briefly with Dominique, but I just with no Horn and Merrick, it's just that versus this offense and then the linebackers. Yeah, they're just undermanned.
If they had better edge rush presence, then you could get after Stafford, right? Stafford doesn't move very much, and they can go pound for pound with the interior, right? The Rams tend to kill you on the interior. They're so strong there. You have Derek Brown, you have Turk Wharton. They got bodies there, but just the edge rush is just like the Panthers are bottom 5 in pressure rate in the league still, and so it's like I just don't think they're gonna be able to heat Stafford up. And then if you're in zone, Stafford's gonna absolutely kill you with rookie linebackers playing against Stafford's eyes, and you can't really man up because you don't have JC, and so like the injuries caught him at the worst time.
Vikings at Seahawks is me. Max Brosmer.
I'm so excited.
Max Brosmer gets to start against the aforementioned Seahawks defense. Not going to talk about that side of the ball. God be with you, sir. But Sam Darnold against Brian Flores is really interesting. So that's my focus here. Flores has had some very funny quotes about this. I don't know if you caught any of them. Where
I haven't.
He speaks. He's just like, I really love Sam. I'm so proud of him. That's
He's gonna kill him.
I'm gonna blitz the hell out of him. It's so funny. This is a big game for narratives for Vikings fans because Sam is, somebody that they used to know. But I think Flores is going to borrow pretty heavily not borrow heavily, but all the Ram stuff that gave Sam trouble, the interior pressure, some of the coverage rotations behind him. We're going to see that. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some of those cross dog blitzes he used on Jared Goff. So I think this is a real opportunity for Seattle and for Darnold to show 2 things. One, can you run on them? Green Bay found a way to. Really interesting. So Emmanuel Wilson had a great game against the Vikings. The Vikings run defense that is diminished. We've talked about this. 28 carries for 107 yards and a 47% success rate, mostly between the tackles. And it was a lot of duo, and he was breaking tackles like crazy. So want to see if Seattle has that capacity because that's, to me, their greatest flaw as a team is you can't run on teams where you should run on them. And then the interior pressure thing, like, okay, do we have answers for that for Sam? After the Rams game, I talked about the importance of putting him on the move when teams do that because of the edges that it creates. The Vikings, some of that by design. the Vikings defense is very good against quarterbacks when they roll out because they've got guys who can hawk them down. But if they overcommit to rushing on the inside, there will be opportunities there. Some nice, easy little boots for Sam. Doesn't have to be giant chunk plays. Just get your tight end out, get 5-7 yards at a time. So I think this is a really important game for Sam, but it's also a really important game for Clint Kubiak, because from here on out, the really good defenses are going to play them a certain way, dare them to run the football and find ways to generate interior pressure.
Yeah. So 1-1 running game, like 100%. This is the thing we've been talking about this entire time. Kenneth Walker has seen his share of the touches and the snaps increase by small increments, but increase over the last 3 weeks over Zach Charbonnet. It feels like they're finally deciding we're just going to let the Bronco buck. We're going to ride the lightning. We're going to use Kenneth Walker. I think that is, without question, the better approach. I like who Zach Charbonnet is as a player, but is not a Tyler Algier level of running back too. I think he's still a step below that. So to me, like I want this to be a Kenneth Walker team. I like Kenneth Walker also against the Vikings because even when the Vikings run defense was better, they're a team that gives up home runs because they will call blitzes on first downs and second downs. And when you call blitz on early downs, if that line is stunting the wrong direction, if you flip a coin the wrong way, then you're right. You're clear to that second or third level. That's where Jahmyr Gibbs has killed the Vikings for so long. It's where James Cook's killed the Vikings, and Kenneth Walker Jr. Has that sort of a home run potential. So I very much agree with the running game aspect. The boot aspect is hugely important. So much hay has been made in Seattle of Kubiak's ability to boot Sam out to the left and to the right and to give him reads. The Vikings, when they send these pressures, when they send this 6-man stuff, you're playing with, fire zone rules with hot eyes, right? You're playing with only 5 guys in zone coverage. And when it's a full field read, there's going to be room, there's going to be space. The processing guys can kill you. If you boot and you cut the field in half, all of a sudden I can send pressure and I have enough bodies in coverage because I don't have to worry about anything outside of the left hash anymore because you're booting to your right or vice versa. So Vikings against rollouts this year, all rollout dropbacks. Awesome. So the fourth best defense, right, by yards per attempt allowed. You do. I do not think you have the boot easy button nearly as much as you typically do. Yeah, you're still gonna have like the quick throw to AJ Barn or pick up.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't think they're going to be able to generate explosives off of that. But I'm talking about if Brian Flores is running games up front on early downs, I do think that there's going to be some opportunities there for just like 7 yards to AJ Barn. Just because this might also. I mean. So funny because the Vikings have given up a lot of explosives and we know what they're capable of in Seattle. But to me, the Seahawks just have to come up with a plan for pressure here. Mm-hmm. He's going to go ham on early downs. So, yeah.
Right. And those are the hardest games to predict because it's either, the Seahawks score 35 points because they hit on 3 throws or the Seahawks, have 2 3-and-outs and also a sack fumble that return for a touchdown because the pressures get home, right? It's a very high variance play. That's what's always been so impressive about Flores. I'm curious to see how much drop 8 we get as well, because to me, I'm trying to solve the JSN issue. I want to cloud to JSN. And you see Flores a lot when he deals with elite passing games, just be super drop 8 heavy and say we're not going to let you find that sort of a room. And so I can see Minnesota, you're talking about early down pressure. I can see Minnesota potentially, zagging ready to zig, swing the whole other direction and spend a lot of time in rush 3, drop 8, rush 4, drop 7. And instead of getting actual pressure, sacks, and hits, you just make Sam feel pressure by showing guys the line and then dropping them, and you accelerate his clock without spending the bodies.
And this is where, Darnold's decision making is just everything in this one, right? Mm-hmm. You can't, when they do drop and play coverage, you really cannot force the football the way he did against the Rams. Obviously, a lot of that had to do with pressure, but he has to be willing to come off of JSN if they overcommit to stopping him as great as he's been.
Yeah. We're still waiting for the Rashid Shaheed moment, right? You and I,
that right.
On, and it's there's got to be a game at some point in the regular season where it's this usage makes sense. This is how they envision him. I feel like we haven't gotten there yet.
The Vikings do not have the corners to handle JSN and Rashid Shaheed. They only have scheme here, to be honest. Yeah. So the question is just, well, if they do that, I think you're going to see a lot of dime. Can you run the ball? Can you do it? Taking Seattle in this one, the other side of the ball, which we haven't talked about, should be.
If this were just any league average offense for the Vikings, it'd be such a fun game to talk about because there's a chance now it's going to be a UDFA out of Minnesota making his first career start.
You watched the Bros for preseason film?
This is going to be disgusting. I did not.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's
I mean,
not
this is potentially a disgusting narrative game too, because people's like, see, JJ McCarthy's got no shot back there. And it's like, yeah, that's the Seahawks defense, y'all.
Yeah.
Like,
It is once again a well-timed injury to JJ McCarthy. Not saying anything about benching, shadow benching, timing, reporting, anything. All I know is it's a very well-timed injury for JJ McCarthy. That's it.
Cardinals Bucks is you. I assume you're on the Seahawks too.
Yes, very much so.
Cardinals Bucks is you. Baker got hurt during Sunday Night Football with the bloodbath against LA, but I think some of the, they were getting killed. So he should play in this game. Must win for Tampa, feels like. They've been playing a lot of really, really good teams and losing. What is your key in Cardinals Bucks?
The Baker health is like the first key, right? Baker was scrambling more in the past couple of games relative to he had 3 games in a row where he didn't rush the football once, right? And then he came back in these last 2 games, ran the football a little bit more successfully. So it seemed like his some of the lower body issues that he was dealing with were improved. Cardinals are the 3rd worst defense in the league against quarterback scrambles. They tend to be a team that's very match heavy and your responsibilities and whatever. And so when you get outside of structure, both in terms of throwing the football and then also tucking and running, you can get this defense. And so to me, Baker health in terms of, is he able to take hits? Are they going to be letting him hold on to the football for an extended period of time? You kind of need that against this defense. So that's there. In the event that there is no Baker and it is Teddy, who, you got thrown out there against a very good defense in a huge hole, but Teddy 100% looked like a guy who was coached high school football, a few months ago. It is not immediate big splash in terms of your backup quarterback. Assuming Teddy's in there and Bucky Irving comes back, which is what Todd Bowles told us to expect, it's how explosive can we be behind the line of scrimmage, right? The number one biggest difference to me outside of the injuries in this Bucs offense from last year to this year has been the efficacy of the screens. It's been the ability to throw the football, toss it behind the line of scrimmage in a designed fashion, and then be able to generate an explosive out of that. It's not something you've gotten from Rachaad White. You've got 1 or 2 reps of that from Sean Tucker, but it was formative to this offense under Liam Cohen. It was not just something they did well. It was part of their identity, was to be able to get you into screen looks and then throw them, because they like their offensive lineman on the move so much, and they really like Bucky Irving. So Bucky potentially coming back and filling that role against a Cardinals team that is going to play you with light personnel, is going to play you with deep players in zones, and is going to give you free access to those underneath areas. Really, really, really important. So Bucky Irving game, a Tez Johnson game. If Teddy Bridgewater's in there, get the ball out fast, create after the catch.
Cardinals 31st in e-paper play versus screens, according to True Media. I was like, I bet they suck, because I feel like I've seen it pop up. Yeah, I'm on Tampa here. If Baker doesn't play, I'll switch to Arizona. But I think he's going to play.
The Bucs have had such a brutal schedule and such brutal injuries, and now it's okay, we get the Cardinals, and the Panthers are knocking on the door. I think they're going to be really sharp in this game. I think they're going to win it big.
Flipping it here. Let's both do Bills Steelers. Okay, so I'm on the Steelers here, and Aaron Rodgers is playing here. I'm getting I really hate this with the Bills, because it's just the same thing every week. But you know what you have to do against this defense, right? It's just, I wish I guess I bring that up because I wish I had something more interesting to say. But then run the ball, use motion. But the Steelers are actually a great running team this season. Mm-hmm. And I think all that 6 offensive line stuff, I mean, I'll be interested in seeing if the Bills even tried to put a linebacker on the field. And then if they do that, play action. It's just until the Bills show me that they can stop decent running teams, I'm not going to say anything different. The Steelers are 7th in run DVOA. The Bills are 31st in run defense.
Yes.
What? It's not. What am I supposed? What do you want? what do you want from me? So, I can't say anything else because it's just so glaring right now.
Right. And the funny thing is the Bills tried to solve the problem. Right. The Bills are playing base 20% of the excuse me, almost 30% of the time this year. No, that's wrong. 20% of the time. I wrote that incorrectly, which is massively up from previous seasons under Sean McDermott. Nickel. Yeah, exactly. They were 4%, 3%, 2% base over the last 3 seasons against multiple tight end sets this year. The Bills defense has been 47% base against 12 and 13 personnel, which is what you're going to get from the Steelers even before they put Steven Anderson on the field and they give you the 6th offensive lineman, right? Now, when facing multiple tight end sets,
The Bills give up 6.6 yards per carry. They give up 1.8 rushing yards over expectation per carry. So you could try to solve the issue, with X's and O's and getting the seventh big body on the field. Congratulations. Yeah. It turns out your linebackers are all still 230 pounds. It turns out all of your defensive tackles are smaller players. And at edge, like Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa, like they have moments of good run defense, like big ends, slow things down. And then there's times where they just get blown off the ball and they're not able to win with the 5 down front stuff. Like it just, the bodies are failing them where they're trying to make the X's and O's changes. The Steelers are going to possess the football for 43 minutes in this game.
Can I say something else about, I know, because it's obvious, it's so obvious here. Kenny Gainwell, he's a good back.
Eagles fans who are listening to this will know how I felt about Kenny Gainwell back in the day, but he's gotten better. No, back in the day, I used to hate the Kenny Gainwell snaps because he was not good. He's gotten much better.
He's also, I think, against this particular team, you want to lean on him here because and they actually have been leaning on him more. I feel like the balance of snaps, it feels like, has been tilting more and more.
Steelers fans are furious about it because Jaylen Warren never takes a 3rd down snap anymore. And they hate it so much. It's like, oh, Gainwell, he's got utility for him. And neither one of those guys is big. So you don't want them taking a lot of hits. I don't think the backfield, timeshare is a bad thing for the Steelers at all.
All right, I imagine you're going to talk about the other side of the ball, which is more interesting.
Bills offense, Steelers defense. Yes, the key to this one. I was looking through the next gen stats preview packet for this one. The Josh Allen sack rate has been a big issue this year. Something we talked about right before that Chiefs game, and he's taking all these sacks on 3rd down. You have a Steelers team that's able to generate a ton of quick pressure, right? Steelers have the fastest time to pressure in the league this year, 2.54 seconds. They have the second fastest time to sack at 4.28 seconds. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, who's hopefully going to be back for this game. Friend of the pod, Nick Herbig, who is just every single week is better than he was the week past. Nick Herbig might be like the 13th best.
As long as he's not covering 30 yards downfield the way Chicago got him to, then yes, he is amazing. Yeah.
So you have edge rushers who can really challenge these Bills offensive tackles with speed. And while Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown are still a very good duo, and I trust them both, and they're both great, we saw that the biggest issues that Dawkins can have are players with speed against that in that Texans game. And Spencer Brown is obviously playing right now at less than 100%. If you can pressure Josh quickly, you can hide this secondary from him because Josh right now wants to hold on to the football. He wants to break tackles. He wants to extend plays. The pop gun, take what the defense gives me, trust the offense guy that we saw last year has very much vanished from Josh's play. So you can get pressure on him. You can sack him. You can get him down. You can force bad throws. You can force turnovers. If and when Josh does break the pocket, or if and when the pocket is clean, Josh is going to light this secondary on fire, right? So this is a very high leverage matchup here in terms of those Steelers edge rushers against those Bills pass rushers. Bills got to be able to run the football here to slow that pass rush down a little bit. No Derek Harmon in this game, who went down with a knee injury. Very big one because the Bills, you saw it against Houston when they can't stay out of those 3rd and longs, then you can get after those tackles. You need to be able to run it.
I think this is a prime spot for Joe Brady to show he's got some fight left in him. To me, that's overstating it. But obviously, Bills fans have turned on him hard, and rightfully so, right? Like, I think the Bills defense has been way too predictable against man coverage. They're running the same stuff. Some of it, he obviously does not have the greatest weapons at his disposal to work with, despite the addition of Brandon Cooks. But, it feels like against better defenses, he has not found answers the way he did last year. We were complaining about how predictable the Steelers defense is when talking about Chicago. This should not be difficult, especially knowing how well the Bills can hypothetically run the football. The Steelers are going to, I think, sell out. I don't think. Yeah, there was like that misleading Colts game where they kind of shook everybody by saying overplaying the pass on play action and playing more split safety. I don't think they do that here. So no. I think there'll be opportunity. I think you're going to see a decent amount of man coverage. I do. I think, please, let's come up with some answers versus man coverage other than mesh over and over. Because there's good offensive coordinators can take advantage of this defense. So show us that you're still that guy.
The Steelers walked into the season being like, man, with this trio of corners with Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, and Joey Porter Jr., we can play man to anybody. We were all like, really? And they were like, yeah, no, we can. And then they've been not able to play man to anybody just from week one. Like, there's Slay is too old, right? Ramsey's, that's not where he's at his best now. They moved him to safety, right? Brendan Eccles now plays the slot. Joey Porter Jr.,
has great moments. He also has some rough moments, so on and so forth. They must be looking at this Bills team being like, finally, the one team we can play man coverage against, right? And so a lot of what Chicago was able to do to them in terms of getting them into zone coverages and then attacking the space, attacking the linebackers, being aggressive with play action, is just not what the Bills do, right? The Bills put 5 into the concept, and the Bills want to throw the ball into space and get those looks. And it's like, all right, Shakir's going to beat Eccles a couple of times, but what is this Gabe Davis? Do I fear is Keon Coleman back in the lineup? Is Brandon Cooks going to play since he got signed right 4 days ago? Like, the Steelers are going to get to play their preferred defensive game plan against this one, which is bad news for the Bills because, okay, the man coverage and the press coverage and the stacked boxes, but it's also good news for the Bills because you know what is coming down the mountain.
No, what's coming? Did you see the Texans defense talk about how they were surprised by how little the Bills chipped them?
No,
or maybe it was D'Amico.
Yes.
D'Amico was like, "Yeah, everybody chips." We were like, "Wait, they're going 5 up."
I want to say they are 5. I want to say they're 5 in the concept on like over 85% of their dropbacks right now, which is a college number. That is not an NFL number.
Watt and Herberg are like the most chip, or Highsmith, or maybe all of them are like the most. Definitely Watt is the most chip player in the NFL. NGS has those chip stats here. Yeah, I'm just like, come on, Buffalo. Like, you know what you're getting here. Let's see some variation. Josh Allen as a runner. I'm taking the Bills. I am betting that we get some offensive innovation here. But I do think this is going to be close because on the other side of the ball, I think we are in agreement that Pittsburgh should be able to run it on Buffalo.
Love the Steelers in this game. Home game. Tomlin is a home underdog. It's going to be weather too. It's expected to be rainy and windy, which Allen obviously can cut through that, but Rodgers still has enough zip to cut through that for sure. The Bills want to force you to throw it underneath, throw it quick. Aaron Rodgers says, I was going to do that anyway. Don't even worry about it, right? And then it becomes like, we talked a lot about, the potential for the Steelers running game and the additional personnel and like how that might affect the Bills. Man, when it's the Darnell Washington underneath target, when it's the DK Metcalf slant, this is just not a big and successful tackling Bills back 7. Anytime I get the football to any one of my many, many, many offensive pass catcher weapons who weigh more than 215 pounds, right? The Jonnu Smith, Pat Freiermuth, like this, the Steelers are going to get a lot of stupid, ugly yards after the catch, and this one yards after contact across the board. I like the Steelers.
The Bills defense is just going to bounce off Darnell Washington. Boing, boing, boing.
It's Mount Washington, man, rumbling down in the rain, in the slop. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I also, the Bills do the Josh Allen break in case of emergency. Josh Allen draw, like Josh Allen scramble, Josh Allen power. I think this is the game where we really see. I think Josh Allen's gonna run it like a zillion times in this one. Okay, it's interesting. We're split. I'll be quick on Broncos Commanders here. Still no Jaden Daniels. Good. Don't play him against this team. Broncos defense is awesome, obviously. I'm interested. So Bo Nix, coming off of his best game of the season against Kansas City, his most complete performance. He's had quarters and this and that where he's been good, but has been kind of inconsistent. This Commanders defense is gettable in a million different ways. I don't have to elucidate it. Like, they can run on them. They can run off tackle on them. They can throw downfield on them. They can beat them. Like they fairly predictable coverages. There's just a million ways that Denver can attack them. But I do want to note something with Bo. Since week 8, so weeks 1 through 7, Nix was 25th in average depth of target.
Mm-hmm.
Since week 8, he is second. He's averaging nearly 10 yards. Franklin, Sutton, Mims. You can win with these guys throwing downfield. And it doesn't have to be a perfectly placed ball. I know that's going to sound like Bo Nix shade. Sorry, I'm just saying some of them have been good. Sutton in particular, I feel like he tends to throw it on target the most to Courtland Sutton, which Courtland Sutton's good.
Sutton makes a lot of throws look on target, baby. That is a good receiver.
I feel like that they have some, but Franklin has quietly emerged as a really important downfield threat for them. Really, really important that he continues pushing the ball downfield in my mind, because suddenly you see defenses easing off a little bit. This should be a good running team. They're a good run blocking team. And I think if I'm to really believe in this team as a playoff threat, I want to not only see that continue, but I would love to go into the playoffs feeling like this team can run the football on some of those AFC teams that we've been talking about. So Bo Nix's willingness to push the ball downfield is very important because it's preventing defenses from overcommitting to the run.
Yeah, the number one, I very much agree. The number one thing that I'm watching the Broncos for rest of the season, okay, get the first round bye, get the home field advantage, but just I need you to have a running back identity and a rotation you trust and a way to run the football you trust. This entire offensive line is paid now, right? With Luke Wantenberg getting his extension, well deserved. So like
Korean.
we got, yeah, we got to. You know, if it's Tyler Beatty, it's Tyler Beatty. If it's RJ Harvey, it's RJ Harvey. We got to be able to give the ball to somebody, right? Because we don't want to see Bo consistently seeing umbrella coverage and shell coverage. The Commanders defense, yeah, like it's there's nothing there. The only thing that's there is the ability to generate team pressure and team disruption. The best thing you can do against Bo right now is to force those throwaways, right, and heat him up and make him feel like he has to make erratic and fast decisions. But they're going to get the ball out of his hands really fast because the Commanders just can't chase plays into the sideline. They don't have enough team speed for it. And so like this is going to be a day where like I think the Bo air yards is good and is a sign that he's realizing what he needs to do to punish defenses. But this is going to be a game where that nice, safe, warm 25% sack rate or screen rate, excuse me, is going to be right there waiting for him if he wants it, right? Because that is a very viable way to move the ball against the Commanders.
He doesn't take sacks too, right? Like
Yeah.
I mean, again, this defense is, but some of that is the Broncos offensive line, which I'm sure is top 3 in pass block win without looking. And then some of it, like he just doesn't take sacks. So his style of football, the way he's playing is could pair really well with this defense, but you obviously want to see continued down to down consistency throwing the ball more than 10 yards. Easy, obviously Broncos pick. Okay. You're the same, I know.
Yeah.
Raiders Chargers. Whose offensive line is worse?
This like truly like I've been calling the Chargers the worst offensive line of football, and then I'll watch the Raiders back. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Then I'll call the Raiders the worst offensive line of football. I'll watch the Chargers film back. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Like it's really tough actually to pick which one is more offensive than the other.
This is you.
Mm-hmm. Biggest thing for the Raiders is can I get a non-Max Crosby to please stand up along the defensive line, right? Because the Browns, you saw so much of that offensive game plan against the Raiders. You saw the Broncos do this successfully. It was just like, hey, we're going to get doubles. We're going to boot out to the left. We're going to hide ourselves from Max Crosby. And we just don't think Malcolm Kuntz is going to punish us. We don't think Tyree Wilson is going to punish us. The interior, right? I mean, Crosby right now has a pressure rate of only 9.4% on the season, because he just gets so much attention on him on clear passing downs. He's so highly disruptive in the running game, but like only 6 sacks. You know what I'm saying? Like there is not enough gravity in the rest of the pass rush. It's the Chargers, right? It's like, okay, they're going to get the help that direction. They're going to give you the multiple tight end sets, but Herbert's going to be in the pocket and they're going to ask, Zion Johnson to win his one-on-ones. And then there's Trevor Penning is starting at left tackle now. Like if you can't win against these guys, you can't win. And so the Raiders defense has had tough moments, right? I still think Patrick Graham is doing cool and good stuff. Like there have been games where they've shown up, and it's because this is an opportunity for them because they have to be able to get a non-Crosby guy to succeed against this offensive line. Jag showed you, man. If you can start hitting Herbert early and you can get him in a deficit where he has to hold on to the football, it's where we see the worst of Justin Herbert, right? He's had a tremendous season, but it's where we see the worst of him because he very rightfully says, in order to get back in this game, I need to make 20-plus yard throws. So I'm going to hold on to this football, and then you can get after this line of pass protection. So the path is there for the Raiders. I think no chip is going to be very nice for the offense because I think everyone's going to be happy and more pleased with the designs and with the offensive tackle help.
Yeah, we can get a little dead cat bounce. Greg Olsen, not that Greg Olsen, takes over as offensive coordinator.
Well, he is that Greg Olsen with the Raiders because this is his 3rd time being their offensive coordinator.
So funny. I feel like so the Raiders game, I think like seeing, I posted, I felt bad because this is like unnecessarily mean, but my only post on that game, I wrote, I know that's not Stone Forsythe blocking Miles Garrett one-on-one to that final sack.
Forsythe, another ex-Seahawk, right? Been a big year for ex-Seahawks getting put on posters along the offensive line.
If you're too bad to be a backup on the Seahawks, you should not be blocking. It'll be very funny if Olsen leans like super into max protect in this game and just like completely. I mean, at some point we should talk about Chip Kelly and what a disaster just that whole offense.
Stop hiring college people. I'm fully out on all college individuals for the rest of time.
That was I feel like I've talked about this at some point, but especially if you don't have a good offensive line. I'm not like you can't come in and compensate for what we saw in Seattle last year with Grubb, and you're going heavy on the pat. It's I was explaining like the Raiders offense. I was like, it's like you took everything bad about the Seahawks offense and made it worse from last year is how I felt watching them. Yeah, Chargers for me, that Raiders offense is just non-functional. I mean, at least the Chargers have receivers, right? Too like, and Herbert, as long as he doesn't spiral the way you described, I think he should be able to do enough against this Raiders defense, which is, despite the fact that their offensive line is so bad, the Raiders defense has a lot of gettable players behind that pass rush. Okay, finally, Patriots Giants Monday Night Football. I am headed to Foxborough on Monday. Fun fact: I've never been to a game at Foxborough in person.
Oh, you excited?
No, it's going to be like 20 degrees, so
Bad
no.
take.
And I live in LA. Okay, I don't know if this is where you're going with this, but I'm really interested in the absence of Will Campbell here.
Yeah, and Jared Wilson, new left guard and left tackle.
Important. Because you saw in the Lions game, I mean, the Giants pass rush is still really good. Now they're really bad at everything else. The defensive line, the run defense is abysmal, and Detroit. That's why they won. Obviously, Jimmy Gibbs went crazy on them. But these are not the edges you want to be down multiple offensive linemen against. They do have the potential to make this one closer than you'd think.
Oh, I'm very worried about the Patriots in this game. I think the Patriots were kind of sleepy coming into that Bengals game. Obviously, now they get this one at home. No Milton Williams is a huge deal for that defense. He's been a 3-down player for them. And then no Kairos Tonga as well, potentially. We still don't know what his practice status is, but you saw the run defense start to get impacted by their absences. And then, yeah, along the left side of the line, man, like Patriots fans last year, like Vidarian Lowe was like a trigger warning to these folks. You know what I'm saying? Like they see him back there on the field.
Trigger warning to me. Even you saying that name takes me back to last season and some of those reps.
Right. And like he probably is a deserved backup left tackle in the league, but just for the Patriots specifically and for all those snaps that he had last season, like it was really, really brutal. You go and you look at where the Patriots have been successful running the football. The running to the right side has been much better for them rather than the left, where they've had the two rookies. But outside of Will Campbell, right, those perimeter runs, they've been able to utilize Wilson's speed and Campbell's speed in space. They've been very successful with screens and runs to that left side of the offensive line. You're going to lose that with Brown and Lowe back there. I think this running game starts to become very predictably right-handed. They can't run the ball well between the tackles. The Giants, you got to be able to run the ball against them. Like they're such a terrible run defense. We saw what Jahmyr Gibbs can do against that team. But if I know what side of the field that you want to run the football to, because you don't trust the left side of your line, it becomes a lot easier for me to call my blitzes and to get my safety rotated into the box where I want him to be and stymie some of those runs. And then on the other side, like Patriots against a scrambling quarterback with the amount of man coverage that they play. You've seen the run defense start to fade a little bit, like I said, with the defensive tackle injuries. Giants are very, very plucky on that side of the ball. Mike Kafka's out here calling multiple trick play touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? They will empty the bag on you. And so I like it. Giants are very live to me in this one. Patriots are due for a loss. Like this is a young team that's winning way, way, way too much. Those teams tend to have face plants late in the season. This Giants team feels right for it.
Yeah, Henderson has to go crazy here. Travion Henderson, who's kind of like Diet Gibbs. Is that insulting to either?
I think James Cook is Diet Gibbs. I think Travion Henderson is Diet James Cook. Is that Coke Zero? Is that Zero?
All three are good players. I want to start by saying that. Yeah, your point about the predictability of the run game, I think, is really important. I think Josh McDaniels is going to have to be very creative in generating misdirection, given the limitations on the offensive line, so that Henderson has a little bit of runway against a very, very bad Giants run defense. So to me, this is a massive Josh McDaniels game. Can you find a way to run the football, given those injuries, and take advantage of that weakness and also compensate for what I believe is going to be a massive mismatch on the left side of the offensive line against this pass rush?
Yeah. It's a big Drake May mobility and scramble game too, right? Because you saw, as we typically do, that, Goff would get a messy pocket and then things would get worse, right? May's best thing that he's done so far this season, in my opinion, is to take a messy pocket and make things get better, right? Whether it's by breaking and actually getting past line of scrimmage and tucking and running, or it's just some of these throws and he makes from adjusted platforms or from accelerated pockets, or just like it's like 10-year veteran stuff that he's doing as a second-year player. And so to me, like that there's a lot of air in this Giants secondary. And so, okay, like Brian Burns, you get there, you got to get the guy down. Abdul Carter, you get there, you got to get the dude down, because May is going to roast you, right? If you give him the extended dropbacks, it's just a pressure and it's not a sack.
Your point about the Patriots' run defense is really important too with those injuries, because they were so dominant the first part of the season, and you have seen a lot of cracks starting to emerge. And I think especially with Jackson Dart back in the lineup, New York will have the ability to run the football on them. And I like what I saw from Mike Kafka week 1, both as a game manager and play caller. I genuinely believe you saw some improvement there. So I don't love this as a outright Patriots cover. I'm still going to pick New England here because I've got faith in Josh McDaniels to come up with some of the answers that we've been talking about and take advantage of those weaknesses. But I would feel a lot more comfortable if either of those offensive linemen was playing. I think this could be really close.
Yeah, I'm picking the Patriots to win as well. I think Giants were almost had it against the Packers, almost had it against the Lions, and now it's a Patriots team. Like they are knocking on the door. I would be very scared of this game if I was a New England fan.
All right, that's it for week 13. I will be back on Tuesday. I think I'll be in Bristol. No, after the Foxborough game, to put out a special episode with Dominique Foxworth, presented by Granger. We will be, in addition to recapping the important Monday night game, talking about some of the playoff teams' weaknesses. So I'm looking forward to that with Dominique. And then, of course, I'll be previewing week 14 after that. Ben, is there anything that folks should read that you've put out lately?
Column is out. More columns will be out. There's definitely something else I've been working on lately. I should know what it is, shouldn't I? Tune in to find out.
Tune in to find out. We'll be back on the show soon enough. Happy Thanksgiving to you, to your family, to your beautiful babies, to everybody who listens, to the folks at Omaha Production who make this show, Kirsten Sebecki, Owen Saylor, Jack Foster, Tucker Tashton, and thankful, of course, for all the listeners, my favorite people, especially the commenters who week after week ask, where is Lenny, and accuse this show of being deceitful for not putting Lenny on camera. If you want to see Lenny on camera, subscribe to the show at Mina Kimes on Instagram, because Lenny makes many appearances there. It's Instagram.com/@MinaKimes. I know he loves the attention that he gets there. So. And that's it for this week. I will see you guys on Tuesday.